Have you ever wondered why you have habits? Have you ever wondered why they're so hard to break? Or why you did things that you really didn't want to do, but you did them anyway? I want you to know that a lot of times habits were not your fault, but they are your responsibility. Hi, this is David Greenwood of Your Life in the Now, helping you to move forward to understand yourself so that you can release some of the guilt, worries, and concerns that might have plagued you throughout your lifetime. So yes, let's talk about habits. Let's talk about what could be holding you back. Let's talk about some of the things you did growing up that you weren't proud of. Everybody had something that they did that they later said, what the hell did I do that for? What was wrong with me? What was I thinking? Think about the habits you might have had. Think about the things you did growing up. Maybe you made a mistake. Maybe you followed what somebody else said. Maybe you did something that you knew wasn't right, but you did it anyway. Do you ever stop and think, why did you do that? Now, these weren't just something that we did when we were growing up. We still do it throughout our adult life. What I want you to understand is that there's another part of you, that subconscious part of you, that has within it another way of life, another way of thinking, another way of being. And it's going to follow what it thinks is best for you. Now, if you've been watching any of my videos or podcasts, you'll know how important the subconscious mind is. For the subconscious is that part of you that has been holding you back, the part that was created over the first 16 years of your life as you're growing up. Remembering as children, we're very vulnerable, we're very open and receptive. That's how we learn so much. That's how children are able to absorb so much. They're very suggestible. What most people don't talk about, though, is that suggestibility also applies to negative thoughts, difficult behaviors, resistive attitudes and techniques, things that we did that weren't good for us. The problem is your subconscious was the one in charge. Now, it was learning and growing those first 16 years, taking in a lot of negative beliefs from other people, and that created your core beliefs. And all that time when you were getting older and going through things, it's like your subconscious was testing, finding out what works. What was it that we're supposed to be doing? I mean, there's a lot of things involved with this. But the most important thing is to recognize that when you were going through these things, and if you look back at yourself, you're going to find that the part of you that made the decision to do these negative things was not you. It wasn't the healthy you. It wasn't what we call the conscious you. It's going to feel like you're out of control. It's going to feel like another part takes you over. And this is your subconscious, the habit patterns. I can guarantee that most all the major events and decisions of your life were done at that subconscious level. Because your subconscious shares your brain with your consciousness, with many levels of your awareness is there. And you're not always aware of what part's there. It's a blending of your consciousness. And you're going to feel suddenly as if you might be slightly different. Most of the time you may not even know the difference at all. Here's a good example. Let's say you're trying to lose weight and eat better. And at work they have cookies or sweets. And when you go into work that day, you're so sure you're not going to touch one of those cookies. You're not going to go for that bowl of nuts or sweets at all. And you walk into the break room, and before you know it, you've got a cookie in your mouth. What happened to the you that walked through that door? What happened to the you that was so sure you were not going to eat it? And then suddenly you did. It's as if you weren't there in that moment. Well, that's because you weren't. Literally, your subconscious was in charge of your brain, and it said, eat this. We have some stress, some worry or concern. This is going to make us feel better. Your subconscious will always try to overcome worries and fears and doubts and emotions by eating, smoking, drinking, entertainment, exercise, some way of escaping. Look, there's nothing wrong with a lot of those things. But we don't want it to be done at the tool of our subconscious, at the behest of our subconscious to overcome feelings. That becomes a real negative downward spiral of avoiding things, of denial. So your subconscious is going to be doing its best to keep you safe and secure. And a lot of times it's going to make a lot of choices that aren't in your best interest, but it's what it believes is best for you. Let's say in a relationship, Things are going pretty well. And then suddenly you begin to feel this fear rising within you that says, oh, this is not going to end well. It hasn't before in the past. We need to get out of this relationship before we get hurt. This is absolutely the wrong thing to do. And a part of you knows that, but another part of you is going to sabotage the relationship because of that old worry and fear of being hurt. The subconscious takes charge and says, do this instead. It's not what you want to do, but it's what it does. And years later, you might look back on this and go, why did I do that? Well, the fact is you didn't do it. Your subconscious did. Whether it's eating or stopping smoking or anything you did, let's say, wasn't just relationship issues, it was a job. Maybe you were doing really well and suddenly you found that you just couldn't get motivated to do more. It's like you hit a ceiling for your income, and you should be out there calling people and doing things, but you find yourself procrastinating, or you find yourself playing games or something, or your subconscious has reached a limit where it said, no, it doesn't feel comfortable for us to be successful. It has a lot of reasons for not wanting you to be successful. And what it does, it causes you to procrastinate, and if you're aware of it, you're going to feel powerless to overcome that. Most of us just don't even know that there's another part of us in charge of us in that moment. They don't even know the subconscious is there in that moment sabotaging you. What you're going to feel is guilt or shame or this feeling that you're not good enough. In reality, you're just not strong enough. Your subconscious mind is far more powerful than your conscious mind. And when it wants to do something, it's going to do something. It's going to overcome your desires. It's going to overcome what you want. So the idea is to create a healthier subconscious, a healthier belief in yourself. When your subconscious is healthier, then you can do these things. It's in alignment with what you want. You become one person and everything works out better. So that's why we say, okay, the habits, the issues in the past were not your fault, but they are your responsibility. Yes, they're your responsibility because they're part of you. And even though it's a program part of you that you didn't have any say over, it's still you. And there are lessons in there helping you to move forward. That's right. What you're going to find as you go through your daily life, that something's going to trigger you. Someone will say something. One of your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife will say something and you'll trigger a feeling of being heard or an anger, or your boss will say something too dismissive of you and you feel angry or hurt there. It goes on and on. We're constantly going through emotional upset throughout the day. Different times, different people, of course, but it's going to happen. What really happened in those moments? Well, something in the present day triggered an old fear of the past in your psyche, an unresolved issue. Otherwise, what somebody said wouldn't really affect you at all. They'd say something, you go, oh, let me look at that. No big deal, no emotional response, unless it is an issue within you. When it's triggered an issue, what do we usually do? We avoid it, or we deny it, or we lash out at the person that said it. We don't realize that person who just said that in the present day just gave us a wonderful gift. Do you look on it as a gift? I don't think so, but it is a gift. They just showed you what you need to work on to become whole, to become complete, to no longer have this ever be an issue again. You should be thanking them. And nobody ever does that, of course. And yes, these people that cause these things sometimes have their own issues. We're not letting them off the hook. We're just going to thank them that they helped us to become better so we can go in and find it. Now, what do you do when you go in and find it? You go and find that part of your psyche, your subconscious, where the issue resides. Now, yes, this is an issue for another time where we're going to talk about things, about inner parts, but basically we find the part, help it, connect with it, let it process the feelings, they release, we heal. We move on. And now that's no longer an issue, and you're going to find that things just don't bother you as much anymore. You just don't get upset. Life is so much better when you live it this way. So when people say something, it doesn't bother you that much at all. Now, you can go through a lot of these great sayings that when people gang up on you, what it really means. I'm trying to remember some of the great ones I've heard about. Said, well, when somebody hasn't taken a good bit of their life, they're going to try to take a bite out of you or something like that. The idea is, If you're not being your true self, you're not going to find that you're going to trigger other people. But what happens is it doesn't bother you in the same way. Now, someone might have a really good insight, and you'll say, okay, thank you, I'll look at it. Maybe there's something to see. But it's not going to cause this emotional disturbance in you any longer. This is the beauty of being able to take in present-day circumstances, what we hear, and resolving them. Now we have a way of healing those old wounds that were caused growing up those first 16 years. They're lying like time bombs within all of us. We talked about at 16, you're graduating high school class. How many of you were able to be their true, loving, open, vulnerable, authentic selves? 0. You're going to find that everybody puts out an image to protect their wounded self. Your image can be somebody who's out there, the class clown, or the leader in this way, or the life of the party. It's just a cover-up to protect themselves. Or you might be shy and retiring, another cover-up to protect yourself. By the time you're 16, we're so hurt and wounded by life in other little subtle ways that we find ways to move away from our true, authentic selves. And then hopefully we'll spend the rest of our life immediately starting to look at it so we can recapture our authentic self. This is what's going to transform humanity. It's not going to be done outwardly. It's not going to be through governments. It's not going to be through laws. It's going to be changing us at our core. When we change at our core, we have to address our subconscious issues. Please take some time to do this, and you will find that, yes, the habits, the things of the past were not your fault, but they are your responsibility. We cannot just escape from them in drugs or drinking or entertainment or food. It doesn't work. And it doesn't do you any service to be anything less than who you're meant to be. So please take some time and recognize the fact that, yes, you can change your life for the better. And you can use the present day circumstances, that which once seemed so horrible, someone telling you something, not getting caught in what they said, but go to where it triggered you and find the core of that and recognize that that needs to be healed. And that's how we thank a person for helping us. And then that person can deal with their own issues. We can come back into the relationship and talk about that. But again, the most important thing is you being healed, you being healthy, you being the leader, you being the one that helps your relationship to move forward, to give the other person the opportunity to change as well. So please look on the old habits, the things done by your subconscious mind. Yes, they may not have been great. The subconscious made irrational choices, but it's your responsibility to heal them. And as you do, you're going to find your life changes for the better. Now, if you like these videos, you can please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to it. We release them about every week, and you're going to find that it's going to augment your program that you're doing with me in certain ways that will help you to understand your subconscious programming and shed light upon your own issues. You can also go to my website, yourlifeinthenow.com, where we have free videos, audios, some PDF reports that will really help you to delve more deeply into your subconscious, to become the person you're meant to be, to create your authentic self, and to learn how to live your life in the now. This is David Greenwood. I look forward to seeing you again next time.